Hi, it's Dee from Know Better, Do Better, and talking about encopresis, fecal impaction, slow transit constipation, soiling in children. And today's topic, just move my camera around. Today's topic is top down versus bottoms up. Now, as a qualified colon hydrotherapist, I think you can probably guess that my preference is for bottoms up, but you know, that can also be used in conjunction with top down. And to sum it up, to go with, you know, definition, I guess, top down would be oral medication for managing constipation and fecal impaction and encopresis. So used in different ways, you generally have a softener product. In Australia we have Osmolax, Movicol, in America Miralax, and it's given as an oral softener. So when you drink it and it travels down through your intestinal system and it gets to your bowel, what it does is it pulls water into the colon. So the colon's job is to pull moisture out. So what it does is it pulls moisture in. As that moisture comes into that bowel, and that is meant to soak into that poo, soften the poo and make it so you're able to push it back out. A bottoms up approach. Oh, look, okay, sorry. So top down approach can also cover a couple of other products. You've got your natural, like your Senna products, which are a stimulative, which is to stimulate the peristalsis to contract and move poo through the colon. You've got Bisacodyl products, which is a chemical which will also pull moisture into the bowel. That's a bottoms up product. You've got, although I think Dulcolax drops are a bisacodyl basis, or same thing. It sort of helps to draw moisture in, but also has a stimulant in it to help push it out. I'm not going to advise on the use of any of these. Obviously, I'm not a pharmacist. I'm not a doctor. I have used the different products, become familiar with them because they can be used very effectively in helping with your treatment of encopresis. Although, you know, the more natural we can be, the more we can stay away from chemicals in our children's bodies. Obviously, you know, if we can, great, but this is a chronic condition that is way more harmful untreated than using any of those products, in my opinion. What else have we got? We got you know, natural products. We could drink prune juice and pear juice, but you've got to understand that isn't going to, it won't clear an impaction. It will help on a daily basis keep fresh poo going through nice and softly by bringing in a fiber component which carries moisture through the bowel. If your child is impacted and constipated, you've got to get that out first. A top-down approach will use large doses of these softeners, you know, scoops and scoops and scoops and scoops a day, whilst drinking plenty of you know, liquids to stay hydrated, because you got to drink it. And you've got to have enough water in your body for it to pull it into the colon to make it soft. Because in a nutshell, that's what you've got to do. The poo's not going to come out until you get it soft again. It's stuck in there. The peristalsis is just squeezing down on a rock, really. It's one of the reasons your kids get really bad cramps when you give them something that stimulates that peristalsis. If it doesn't soften, that poo's not soft enough. It's just squeezing down on a hardened rock, and it's gonna give them a lot of cramping. So, you know, first thing, look at getting it soft. Bottoms up approach. There's a couple of different products you can use there, or techniques. So you have basic glycerin suppositories, which is, it's a solid glycerin, like a little bullet-shaped thing. It's inserted into the rectum. It's meant to, it melts down with the body temperature, lubricates the rectal area, and then assists the poo to come out with it as a lubricant. In the Soiling Solutions program, it's used both as a lubricant, but essentially as a mild trigger. Now, that's not going to make much sense to you unless you are doing the program or starting to read about it. But when you think that a poo and the mass of the poo, I talked about this in the digestive system, it is the mass of the poo coming into the rectum which creates the urge response that goes to your brain that says there's a poo that needs to come out. So a little glycerin suppository is a mild trigger. It will then tend to work as your child regains condition in their colon and regains some urge to go. So that's if your child is not long-term encopresis or particularly impacted and just has one piece of hard poo that you need to get out, absolutely glycerin suppository can do the job for that. There's bisacodyl based suppositories. It's the bisacodyl draws the moisture into the colon and stimulates the colon to push out the fecal matter. You know, good for, you know, a rectal plug of poo, trying to get that out, just enough to give your child some assistance, to give them some relief. But you want to then look at, is your child got more further up the colon? Because just taking that plug out, going back to the slow moving train, if you take that plug out, it's still just creeping down and going hard. So one little bisacodyl suppository on its own may give them some relief, but it's not going to be at all effective in your long-term plan without, you know, cleaning out first and then ensuring that poo comes out every single day so it doesn't get hard. You have little bisacodyl based enemas. There'll be 5 ml of liquid. Have a nozzle. You just put a little bit of the solution on the nozzle, it gets inserted into the rectum, you squeeze in the little contents of it, and like the suppository, it draws moisture into the colon, helps to try and soften down that plug, and then stimulates the peristalsis to move that out. Once again, same as the suppository, it can be effective for a little bit of relief or for a one-off bout of trying to get the poo out. But if there is further fecal matter higher up, this doesn't get up high enough to be effective in clearing that out. The most gentle and effective means of, to me, re-stimulating that urge in a child, as well as softening down the poo and getting that stimulation to come out, the most natural way to do it is by what we call a large volume enema. It can be up to, and don't let this freak you out, it can be up to 1 litre of liquid with a clear bowel, considering once again that your child's colon is about as long as they are tall. 1 litre is really not a huge amount of water, but you work up to that depending on how clear their colon is. If they've got 2/3 of it blocked with poo, you don't have nearly enough room. But consider this, when you put water in, which is exactly what your chemicals are doing when you drink it, to soak into the poo, when you're putting it straight into the rectum, it is direct to the place you need it to go. If you take it in nice and slowly, and I will do a whole video on the best way to take to use an enema. Take it in really slowly, you don't trigger that urge to want to push it back out. That's something that I see every single day, but just trust me. It's you take it in really slowly, and so it can just sit in there and soak into that hardened mass, making it soft. It's the aim of it, to make it soft. You add a lot quickly, and it creates the peristalsis to push it out. So in the first instance, if you're doing a softening type of enema, you just want to drip feed it in really slowly so it just sits in there and absorbs in and makes it soft. If you're going for a training stimulated urge, reconnecting type of enema, then you would put it in quite quickly to create the peristalsis, to get that the peristalsis pushing the waste out. The fact that it is so useful in that way, when you understand what we're trying to do with the child, retrain that urge, regain conditioning in the muscles in their colon, the large volume water enema is an amazing tool to have in your arsenal. And it's, you know, there's no chemicals, there's no residue left in your child. It's really natural. So if you just look at it as, you know, soaking the poo to make it soft so that the body can push it out, it's that straightforward. So that's just trying to think if there's any other bottoms up approach. Oh, well, I mean, there's colon hydrotherapy, which is what I am now qualified in and run as my my everyday business, where I help adults to disimpact their colon, improve their health. It's essentially doing what an enema does, but it's a constant flow of really gentle water that goes in and then the body pushes it back out, and it's an ebb and flow. So it's rather than just one bag of water, it's not that you fill right up and then you want to explode. Your body just moves water in and out like this. So it's just a constant flow of gentle water softening and soaking and softening and soaking and stimulating those muscles to move it out. So what we find is some water goes in, some water comes out, some water goes in, some water comes out, some water goes in, a bit of water and poo comes out. And as it softens and breaks down, you get this cleaning out effect. And we actually used colon hydrotherapy in my son when he was, well, we've been for a hospital clean out. I will talk about clean outs and your options on a separate video, but basically there's an at-home clean out using large doses of softeners, oral softeners. You can use your large volume bag enemas, or you can combine those. There's a hospital clean out, which involves a nasogastric tube down their nose being pumped full of the softeners that you can drink normally, if your child will drink them normally. And then, you know, I totally see colon hydrotherapy as a very gentle and viable clean out option. It doesn't do it in one go. Any impaction you won't move in one go, but it is that premise of adding the water in, softening down, and then pushing the water and the waste back out again. My son would have been around about five when we first started colon hydrotherapy with him, and it was way better than a 6-day hospital stay. So as an option, I will talk more about that and how that works with NCO kids, because it's a little more complex than just take them along to a clinic and get it underway. So that's another conversation for another time. But essentially that's your two options. They don't have to be exclusive. You know, when you get into the Soiling Solutions program and undertake, you know, read everything that's in that. It will talk about, you know, all these different products and how best to use them. And every child is different, what their behaviors are, where they are at in this condition. And it is trial and error. But what it gives you is each piece of this puzzle to work out which piece of puzzle or bit of equipment that you're going to need for that day with your child. And by using this, by using that program, you're able to get on top of the soiling. And I can tell you that if you buy that program and you do a clean out with your child to ensure that their colon is clean, and you start their program, the soiling stops. It just stops. If there's no poo in them each day, they can't soil. If there's no poo in them each day, their colon starts to heal. That's the aim of the oral softeners, but there's too many things just with that you know, for a lot of kids don't work. So yeah, certainly look into the program. It's a game changer. I know we did our clean out the first day we started our program. We have rarely ever had an accident since. It's one of the reasons why I can't stop telling you how good it is. But anyway, hopefully this has helped. So that's top-down medicine versus bottoms-up, and the different uses. There'll be times where I'll refer to that again and why, but that's just a little bit of an overview. So hopefully that helps you. Hopefully it makes it a little less scary, because I know a lot of us sort of think, oh, you know, I don't think I could possibly you know, put medication like that or put a little tube in my child's bottom. And I beg you to get past that, because it's so effective. It's so, you know, we used to, you know, in our grandparents' day, you know, enemas and suppositories were the norm when you couldn't poo. They're not something to be scared of. It's not something to be ashamed of. You know, it's not going to damage your child psychologically. They just feel so relieved to not be full of poo, to not be toxic, that you know, it becomes very, very easy for the majority of them to accept that what I call bottom medicine is helping them, and to be happy to accept it. The one thing that I've always explained, or the way my take on bottom medicine, and, you know, I guess the stigma surrounding it, and I couldn't do that to my child. But if your child was a diabetic, genuine medical need to have a needle stuck in them every single day, you'd do it. No one would tell you that you were a bad parent for hurting or doing something to your child that is less than ideal. No one wants to do, you know, no one wants to hurt their child. I can tell you that enemas and suppositories don't hurt your child. A needle in the arm would be way more painful for them. So I guess a big part of this is for me to try and help people get past that fear of using bottom medicine, because it's the most effective way to treat and retrain the urges in the body for this condition. So I'll leave you with that thought. Have a little bit more of have a read, do some research. By all means, my videos aren't a substitute for medical advice or your own research, but it's my experience. It's the experience of hundreds of stories I've read of people who are going through encopresis with their children and what their challenges are. So hopefully this can help a few of you out there, and please share the videos, because you don't know who's struggling with this behind closed doors, because people don't talk about it. So please share this and help somebody else, and I will hopefully have another video for you coming soon. Right, take care, bye.